This film is also known as Alien's prequel. It talks about more than just the origin of humanity. Alien also appears in the film for the first time. Some say Prometheus is a sci-fi masterpiece delayed by Alien. Today we will take a good look at the film. Many years ago, the Earth was still barren. A spaceship suddenly came to Earth. A white giant soon emerged from the ship. The giant also took off his hood when the ship left the place. He opened a metal box very solemnly. Then the giant drank the unknown substance inside. The giant's body also began to change. His alabaster-like skin was suddenly covered with blood. With a hiss, the giant's body began to break down rapidly. Finally, he fell into the river. However, the giant's mission has only just begun. When the giant was completely dissolved, its cells began to mutate genetically. They then spread around the world via the river. Time soon arrived in 2089. While exploring Scotland, scientist Dr. Shaw and his boyfriend Charlie find a 35,000-year-old mural in a cave. They then observed that the humans on the mural were all kneeling and worshipping a giant, and this giant was reaching out to an unknown galaxy. Both of them were very excited at that point. Dr. Shaw had an idea in his mind. The mural could be a giant guiding humans to find them. So in 2093, a research ship called Prometheus set sail. Its destination was the galaxy that the giant in the mural pointed to. There were 17 crew members on board. Most of them are now sleeping in hibernation chambers. In charge of the ship is the robot David. David has a great learning ability, except for his inability to reproduce. He is more capable than humans in almost every way. To pass the time of boredom, in addition to exercising and learning, David imitates the human lifestyle through films. He even uses a neuromask to peek into the dreams of others. David wanted to understand human consciousness and the mind in this way. After a 2-year voyage, the ship finally reached its destination. At this time, a blue planet also appeared, so David woke up all the crew. Dr. Shaw and Charlie were also on board. When everyone recovered, Meredith, the person in charge, started calling a meeting. As David opened the holographic projection in his hand, an older man slowly appeared before everyone. He was the one who invested in and sponsored this interstellar exploration. Then the boss introduced himself. This video was shot in 2091. When everyone saw this video, not only does it mean that people have successfully reached their destination, it also means that the older man is dead. Then the boss introduced David. David is his most trusted assistant. As a robot, David will never grow old and will never die, but it also lacks the most important human soul. At this point, David already had a micro-expression on his face. David is very concerned about his identity as a robot. That's why he's been trying to learn to be human. Then the boss said he had been thinking about 3 things all his life. Where do humans come from? What is the mission of human beings? What will happen after human death? Fortunately, Dr. Shaw and Charlie found him at the end of his life, so he spent much money sponsoring this interstellar exploration. Charlie also started talking about the mission. They found 7 ancient murals from all over the world. Although these murals come from different times and civilizations, but they all have one thing in common. In all of them, a giant appears, and these giants also point to the same galaxy. Today, humanity has finally discovered the location of this galaxy, so there was this plan. They have confirmed via remote scanning that one of the planets shows signs of life. The giant in the mural likely came from here. The ship immediately began to enter the planet. As they walked through the clouds, they realized this planet is not what they thought it would be. The greenery and life they had imagined were not there. Under the ship's careful search, the group still found an unusual relic. When the ship landed smoothly, the group immediately began to gear up. They will then embark on this journey of discovery. The behemoth in front of them is obviously man-made. By the time everyone reached their destination, they did not hesitate to go inside the ruins. Then they immediately released the probe. After the wireless signal transmission, the ship quickly drew a 3-dimensional map of the ruins, and by this time, the group's instruments also detected that the air inside the ruins was even cleaner than on Earth. This place has undergone an environmental transformation. This unknown structure can still create air, so they all took off their helmets. At this point, they discovered another strange phenomenon. The temperature here is as low as -12 degrees, but the black water beneath their feet has not frozen. As the group continued to explore the passage, David, who was walking at the end, found something. As he pressed an ancient switch, a strange image immediately appeared in the passage. A large group of giants fled frantically. Behind them seemed to be some horrible creature chasing. The crowd also immediately followed the image and ran over. Soon they came to the door. There was a huge headless corpse lying on the ground. It looks like he should be in the escape. The door pinched off his head. Carbon tests showed that the giant had died for over 2,000 years. Seeing this, the geologist Fifield was horrified. He grabbed his companion Peter and went back to the ship first. Meanwhile, David finally managed to open the door through the ancient writing on the door. The inside of the gate looks like an altar, in addition to a large statue of a human face. They also saw the giant's head on the ground. David also made a discovery. This room also contains a large pile of metal containers, and unknown creatures were writhing in the soil. Then the group noticed that there was a beautiful painting above their heads. The walls were also carved with a horrible creature. Then David looked curiously at a tin can. At this time, the black material inside is constantly wriggling. David decided it might be an unknown organic creature. At the same time, Dr. Shaw noticed that the painting above his head was rapidly fading. It seems that their intrusion has changed the air conditions here. Just then, a warning came from the ship. A storm with much silica is about to hit. Seeing that the situation was not good, Dr. Shaw took the giant's head and prepared to evacuate. However, they did not know David had quietly taken a tin can with him during the evacuation, and in the other tin cans underneath, several worms are struggling. By the time they got outside, the storm had blown behind them. Fortunately, with the efforts of the people, they finally managed to return to the ship. But when the count was done, the captain found that the two men who had left early had yet to return. Looks like they're lost in ruins, but there is nothing they can do now but wait for the storm to end and pick them up. Meanwhile, Dr. Shaw was ready to begin studying the giant's head. They electronically scanned the head immediately after high-temperature sterilization. It was then that they realized that underneath the helmet was the real skeleton of the giant. So, with David's help, he began to unmask the mysterious mask of the giant carefully. It was the head of an alien creature, but he had the same face as a human. Everyone was shocked. Dr. Shaw also discovered, at the top of the giant's head, there appeared to be new cellular tissue still alive. This discovery also made Dr. Shaw very happy. She immediately wanted to have an intracranial recovery. The assistant inserted an instrument directly into the giant's head. They were trying to reactivate the nerves in the brain, then let the giant think he is still alive. Under the influence of the instrument, the giant's head did respond. Then he even slowly opened his eyes. But it seems that the giant showed a painful expression because the drug was too strong. Realizing that something was wrong, the crowd quickly opened the shield. The next second, the giant's head exploded as well. Dr. Shaw immediately took a sample to continue her research. However, the results were surprising to everyone because the giant's genetic samples were an exact match for humans. In other words, these giants are the creators of human beings. This conclusion undoubtedly overturned the long-standing knowledge of humanity. This also makes it difficult for Dr. Shaw to accept for a while. On the other hand, David quietly put on the neuromask at this time. He told this to a mysterious person. David took out the tin can he had brought back. After observation, he determined that the canister contained a kind of black water with life. To verify the effectiveness of black water, so David found Charlie. When he poured the wine for Charlie, he quietly dissolved a drop of black water into the wine. Charlie drank it all in one go. Then she found Dr. Shaw. Through the strength of alcohol, the two also had a love exchange. This part is not good, and we skip it. On the other hand, the two lost people found a pile of giant bodies inside the ruins. They seemed to be running away from something terrible before they died, and these bodies all burst open from the inside out. It was as if a creature had burst out of them. Scared, the two men immediately tried to get away from the place. Unsurprisingly, in a panic, they returned to the room where the tin cans were stored. At that moment, something seemed to be swimming in the black water. Soon a white creature appeared. I did not expect that Peter was not only not afraid but was ready to play with the monster with his hand outstretched. However, the monster wrapped itself around Peter's arm the next second. Soon Peter's arm began to twist and deform. His companion cut off the monster's body directly with a dagger to save him, but the monster's bodily fluids were extremely corrosive. Now not only was his companion's helmet melted and damaged, but even the monster's severed head had grown back. It quickly entered the protective suit through the hole in the arm. Then the monster entered Peter's body. The next day, Charlie woke up and was about to wash his face. At that moment, he saw a worm wriggling in his eye. Just as Charlie was about to look closer, the radio suddenly went on. It turned out that the rescue team was about to leave. Charlie didn't think much of it. He immediately followed the team and set off again. When the team found Peter, they they found them lying dead on the ground for a long time. As everyone was about to check the cause of their death, the monster quickly escaped from the corpses. At the same time, Charlie suddenly fell ill. Realizing this was not a place to stay, everyone immediately evacuated. However, no one noticed that David had quietly left the team at the beginning. He went to a mysterious room alone. There are countless tin cans stacked here. Then David even found a non-human ship at the end of the passage. This is the last video left by the mysterious giant. After watching it, David realized that the technology of giants was at least tens of thousands of years ahead of Earth. They wanted to use the ship to bring Blackwater to Earth, but in the end, the ship failed to take off for some reason. When the video was finished, David also found a giant still alive in the sleeping bin. And on the other hand, when the group returned to the ship, Charlie's lesions had become more and more serious. To prevent accidents, Meredith was determined not to let him board the ship. At this point, Charlie also understood the danger he was in. After saying his last goodbye to his girlfriend, he lets Meredith burn to death, seeing her boyfriend die before her eyes. Dr. Shaw also fainted with grief. When she woke up again, she was lying on the operating table. She then learned from David that she, who was infertile, was pregnant, and the baby was already 3 months old. But it was only last night that she had sex with Charlie. They all knew there was something wrong with the baby. They were about to freeze Dr. Shaw in a dormant chamber and bring her back to Earth for further research. At that moment, Dr. Shaw suddenly got up and knocked everyone down. She fought through the pain and made it to the medical bay. Now she had to use the automatic equipment to remove the fetus directly from her stomach. As the operation went on, she saw her baby. It was a deformed monster with tentacles. As the monster struggled, Dr. Shaw immediately escaped from the medical bay. She wanted to kill the monster in front of her. At the same time, Charlie, who had been killed before, came back to life. He went on a killing spree on the ship. Normal weapons couldn't hurt him at all. His teammates soon suffered heavy casualties. The captain arrives just in time. This time, they burn Charlie to the ground. On the other hand, after Dr. Shaw escaped from the medical ward, she went to a hidden room. Here, she saw the boss, who was supposed to be dead. Then she also learned the truth. Not long ago, David found the giant that was still alive. So he went to find this human creator. Since giants can create humans, they must also have a way to save them. The boss wants to live too much. Dr. Shaw also decided to go with them to fulfill his boyfriend's dream. Just as Dr. Shaw was about to leave, the captain suddenly found her. The captain speculated that the planet was just a military base for the giants. No one would conduct dangerous experiments on their doorstep. He analyzed that the giant was making tin cans and accidentally let the monster escape. So the two sides had a bad fight. They should get out of here as soon as possible. Dr. Shaw told the captain the truth. As long as they can find the giants still alive, they will know the cause and effect of everything. Then they could leave successfully. Then Dr. Shaw followed the boss into the ruins. They soon found the ship. David will awaken the last living giant. This is the true creator of humanity. He has the appearance of a human being. The first thing the giant did after waking up started vomiting like a human being. Then, the boss immediately asked David to ask the giant what he had to do to continue to live. On the other hand, Dr. Shaw wants to know why they wanted to destroy humans when they created them, but the giant did not answer these questions. He reached out and touched David's head. The next second, the giant killed David directly. Then the boss also died. The rest of the team tried to fight back, but the weapons in their hands could not harm the giant. In the end, everyone was easily killed. Only Dr. Shaw saw that the situation was not good and escaped early. The giant did not chase after him and activated the ship's cockpit. Under the giant's operation, a star map of the universe began to appear immediately. The giant wanted to start the ship and take the tin can to Earth to continue destroying the human race. By this time, Dr. Shaw had already escaped outside. She immediately told the captain what the giant was up to. Now they have to stop the ship, otherwise, Earth's demise awaits. Meredith, who was on board, saw that the situation was not good, and she immediately ordered the captain to evacuate. After a moment of reflection, the captain made a different decision. After ejecting Meredith's escape pod, he immediately ordered his men to activate the ion thrusters. Now he wanted to turn the whole ship into a bullet. Seeing that the giant ship had taken off, the captain piloted the ship and rushed towards it. Prometheus exploded on the spot, and the giant ship began to crash immediately. The unlucky Meredith was crushed to death by the ship, and only Dr. Shaw managed to escape. She was the only survivor of the entire ship. Dr. Shaw then went to Meredith's escape pod. She wanted to use the medical equipment here to treat her injuries. To her surprise, the monster had not been killed, and its body had grown so big. And then David's voice came through the headset. It turns out that as a robot, he could survive even if he only had a head. David told Dr. Shaw to leave because the giant was coming for her, but it was too late. Now the giant was coming. During the crisis, Dr. Shaw opened the hatch directly. The monster inside also rushed out instantly. As a biological weapon designed to kill, the giant was no match for the monster. Eventually, he was also pounced on the ground. When Dr. Shaw is safe, she learns from David that there are many more such ships on this planet. He could take Dr. Shaw home with him. However, Dr. Shaw refused the offer. She no longer wanted to return to Earth. She wants to return to the giant's home planet and uncover the truth. At the film's end, Dr. Shaw and David fly away on the ship. However, they did not know that another monster had emerged from the giant's body. With a hiss from the monster, the movie also ended. Remember to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.